this interminable delay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the zoo. The minion with me this evening is Adam.
Hello.
We might be joined by people later on. I don't know. But if we are, fantastic. I'll introduce them as they come. Otherwise, as it is once again a Friday, I am, of course, the keeper for this evening, Sanguine. How are you doing tonight, Adam?
I'm doing all right. I'm glad it's Friday. Been doing a lot of overtime this week, so um,
Ah,
I woke up actually today thinking it was Saturday, and I woke up a little before my alarm. I was like, it's okay, it's Saturday, and I can just sleep past the alarm, and then a little bit later, I was like, "Whoa, wait, no! It's holy shit! It's Friday. I gotta keep tabs on the
gotta get
alarm."
up, gotta go.
Yep. So, but yeah, hey, at least it's Friday. It's the end of work day, and it's on Friday or the weekend. So yeah, that's where I'm at. How you doing, Sanguine?
I'm doing fairly well. I had a fantastic dinner not terribly long ago.
Dude, what'd you make
And
up?
I had a lemon chicken that was then served on garlicky lemon scallion couscous with some herb, or not herb, but some crusted zucchini, Parmesan crusted zucchini. And it
Ew.
was absolutely delicious.
Would you slice up the zucchini and coat it in Parmesan, or?
Sliced up the zucchini, started roasting it in the oven, flipped it after it got some color on one side, sprinkled on a combo of Parmesan and panko onto the other side.
Wait, what's a pinko?
Panko is a specific type of crumb. So panko is a type of bread. Technically, it is always going to be a breadcrumb that was first made by the Japanese during World War II, and it was made by Japanese troops when they wanted something to give a starch to a meal. They had flour, they had water, they didn't have anything else. So they mixed up, or except for salt, but they didn't have like any standard ovens or anything like that, so they couldn't make a bread. But they decided to try to make a bread anyways. They mixed up the flour, the water, the little bit of yeast, and a little bit of salt that they had, made a dough out of it, and then they stuck it between two metal plates that they then hooked up a tank battery to. And the electricity arcing through the wet dough cooked the dough. But it made this very fragile, crispy shard of a cook rather than cooking up like bread like they had hoped it would. That shattered very easily into these oblong pieces, but when they coated things in it, it tasted fantastic. So it's this jagged breadcrumb that is cooked via electricity rather than an oven. It's very strange, very interesting,
Oh
very fun
no.
to work with.
Oh.
Yeah, pinko is different than panko.
Or pachinko. Oh wait, no.
Yeah, also very different than pachinko. Pachinko is a game. A pinko is a fucking red, and panko is a jagged, crumbly breadcrumb, which is absolutely fantastic. It fries up amazing. It does a perfect job whenever you're trying to crust something. Mix in some panko crumbs, and it'll crust like there's no fucking tomorrow. It is fantastic. So yeah, that was how I did the Parmesan crusted zucchini. It was Parmesan, panko, a little bit of oil, a little bit of salt, thrown on top of the half roasted zucchini, and then let the breadcrumbs brown, the cheese melt and crisp up a little bit. Serve that up.
Damn. And would you serve it up on?
Oh, like I said, it was on a bed of garlicky citrus scallion couscous.
Ooh.
And there was a quick and dirty pan sauce that I made with it as well. That just went over top of everything. And it was delicious.
Well, I figured, giving a double take would be a good thing for our viewers.
Yep. And you can't just hook up jumper cables to a bread pan, because if you hook them up to the bread pan itself
What?
completes the circuit. This was something that Rotten Corpse said, that he could see me hooking up some jumper cables to a bread pan. You can't do that if you're trying to make panko. You need to have two discrete metal plates where the only thing bridging the metal plates is your bread dough. And then you hook up the jumper cables. Because the thing is that the reason why it cooks up in that very crumbly, breaks into shards manner is because the bread dough is the completion for the circuit. So as the electricity arcs through the moisture in the bread to the other side of the plate, it ends up cooking a line through the bread. And it stops cooking by itself because the cooked panko is rather insulating against electricity, whereas the dough, due to the water and the salt, is very conductive. So if you have wet dough, it'll cook and you'll get those shards of bread from the electricity going through the wet dough. But then the moment that the moisture has been cooked off, so the bread is fully cooked, it'll stop allowing the electricity to arc. It's fairly fucking ingenious, but also kind of strange in the best possible way.
I mean, yeah.
I wasn't over explaining the joke. I was explaining why the joke was incorrect. There's a difference, goddammit. Because I mentioned panko, and I was asked what panko is frosted. So I explained the process by which panko was originally made, the process by which panko, at least true panko, is still made to this day, which is still the two conductive metal plates with electric current that is being connected to either side, and it's only the dough that allows it to pass through. So I was explaining that because it explains the texture of panko and why panko has that very sharp, shard-like texture to the breadcrumb, which also makes it fantastic because due to that, it kind of has a almost straw-like interior texture. And by straw-like, I mean straw the type that you drink out of, not straw the type that you feed horses with. But it has that straw-like shape on the inside. So when you fry food with panko breadcrumb, the oil seeps back out of the breadcrumb much faster than any other sort of breadcrumb. So it makes amazing breading for any fried food.
Oh no. And you're gonna find people looking to fry some pickles and
Yeah, you can do
maybe a
panko.
zucchini.
You can do panko breaded fried pickles. First, you toss it into starch or flour, then you toss it into an egg wash, then you toss it into some panko. Fry that son of a bitch up. It'll be delicious.
What
And
about fried mushrooms?
fried mushrooms are delicious as long as you cook them right. Problem is, a lot of people use mushroom. So, if you want to make the best fried mushrooms, what you do is first you roast the mushrooms so that you can drive away some of the liquid from the mushroom. Then, after you roast the mushrooms, you pull them out, you let them cool, then you bread them, then you fry them. They come out amazing. If you fry them standard, then they can be too wet on the inside, which gives a rather unpleasant texture, in my opinion.
Kind of makes them like a little
Spongy.
bit like yeah, chewy type of.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, if
yeah.
it has too much moisture on the inside, you get that kind of spongy, I've heard it referred to as pencil eraser sort of texture to the inside of the mushroom. Whereas if you roast them first, you let some of that moisture come out, you get this nice meaty bite that's absolutely fucking amazing. Pickles are delicious. I don't know what is wrong with your taste buds that you think pickles are disgusting frosted, but pickles are absolutely delicious. They add that nice sour funk that can really bring out the best in a dish. Also, where else will you get a pickle back if you don't have a jar of pickles?
Hey, I like pickles.
You know what a pickleback is, right?
No.
It's when you're drinking and you take a shot of pickle juice.
What?
Yeah, you take your shot and then you get a shot of pickle juice and you take your shot of pickle juice as your chaser. It's called a pickleback.
Yeah, I'm definitely down quite a couple of miles from where you're at, sir. I don't know if we down pickle juice.
Picklebacks are delicious. But yeah, if you want really good fried mushrooms, you want to drive out a good chunk of the moisture so that they're still just very slightly moist on the inside, but they have this nice meaty bite to them rather than being watery on the inside. So you roast them up, then you let them cool, then you toss them through the Panay station. So
Do you think it's
dredge
better
them, egg them,
if
bread
they're
them, fry
super
them.
dry before they go into the battering process?
You don't want them super dry. You don't want dried mushrooms as your fried mushroom. What you want is you want a properly cooked mushroom. So, like I said, you want to cook off a good chunk of the moisture, but you don't want to get them completely dried. Like, you don't want to just go out, buy a bag of dried mushrooms, and then try to fry those.
Yeah, be ridiculous.
They'll turn out horrendous.
Yes.
But if you cook off the moisture to the right degree, they're delicious.
I mean, I like mushrooms. I haven't gone as far as eating one of those giant portobello mushrooms and imagining it's like a hamburger or something like that. But
Nah, fuck that. And fuck the vegans that are so happy eating their food. Their food is so delicious, but you should try it. They've gotten it to taste just like meat. If you've forgotten what meat tastes like,
But I swear I've seen that there is a mushroom that does have that meaty type texture or flavor. Yes.
oh, there's a lot of mushrooms that have a meaty texture, and there's some that have a meaty flavor. Now, the thing is, a meaty texture and a meaty flavor means that it is a texture and flavor like meat, not that it tastes
Well,
the
that's what I mean.
same as
like
meat. It's similar.
like portobello mushrooms. I'm sure you can cook them up to have like a. I mean, it's not going to be a like a burger type bit, but it's it's not the sautéed mushrooms you'd have in like a rice and meat dish, right?
Well, you can use portobello mushrooms for that type of
Well,
use as
both of
well.
them, yeah.
So, like I said, portobello mushroom has a very umami, nice tooth feel to it when you bite into it. So it has that, if it's cooked right, it has that kind of meaty, almost like a pulled pork sort of texture, where it's still moist, but it kind of threads as you bite into it.
Threads. You know,
Yes,
that's an interesting take.
threads.
Yes, it threads into it.
Because think about when you're eating like a really well cooked pork shoulder, and it just kind of, as you bite into it, it kind of, like I said, threads. You get those bits of pulled pork rather than it maintaining as a whole. And we're being joined by Kefki.
Are we?
Hello, Kefki. Yes.
Hello.
Ah!
Bye.
How
Jeepers.
goes, Kefki?
Wait, what?
How goes?
Oh, how go? It's been better. How goes you?
Pretty good. Just been talking about food, as you've been hearing.
Ah. How do I change? How do I put a picture on here
You
instead of the?
go to your settings, and then it is in. Actually, that is my stream settings. You go to your actual settings for your account here, and you can click that.
Oh,
There's
see, I thought I
also.
had it set up, but. Huh.
So if you mouse over the box that your name is in, there's
Mhm.
3 dots in the corner.
I'm on mobile.
Oh, you're on mobile.
Yeah, there is 3 dots at the bottom. I have
Okay, click the
settings.
3 dots. One of those should be edit avatar.
Nope, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. I just get camera and audio settings.
I know how to do it on PC. I don't know how to do it on mobile.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. And I see you in chat there, Cryptic, so I sent you a link as well. But, yeah. Mushrooms, when cooked properly, they're amazing. The problem is, almost every single recipe on the internet or in any cookbook will tell you how to cook them wrong.
You smother them in butter and fry them.
No. So, if you're cooking mushrooms, eventually you will put them in butter. But if you start with butter right away, their moisture doesn't come out of them. So you end up with kind of chewy and very anemic tasting mushrooms.
But they're good.
If you want the best mushrooms, what you do is you grab your mushrooms, slice them up however you want, Then you throw them in a hot pan that is dry or very, very lightly oiled. Then you throw in some salt and you let them cook for a bit. Moisture will come out, moisture will start evaporating. Once you have a nice brown coloration on your mushrooms, that's when you throw in the butter. Then you let them cook in the butter. You can throw in your herbs, whatever other seasonings you're using. That's when all that goes in. Because then and only then will you get these lovely, meaty, properly textured mushrooms. Every recipe throws them in way too fucking late, and when you throw them in way too late, they have a very anemic taste because there's so much water, and water is the enemy of flavor. And they just have this texture that it can go rubbery, like pencil erasers, as I mentioned earlier, or they can go somewhat slimy depending on how they're cooked. If you cook them in a dry pan first, or a very, very lightly oiled pan first, you'll never end up with either of those textures.
Thermite, you say, Siddiq. Thermite? What is thermite? Can you cook a mushroom in thermite? Is that herb?
Thermite is iron oxide mixed with... It's aluminum and iron oxide, right? I can never remember what the secondary metal is, but melts the ever-living shit out of things. You can cook in it if you're very fucking quick.
Ah! Oh, so you like flash cook the mushrooms in thermite.
It would
But
not
then they'll
be
taste
a
like
good
thermite.
way of cooking. It would not be a good way of cooking. You
No.
could potentially contaminate your meal, but
Oh.
it's a very high heat, so with any heat, if you get the timing right and the distance right, you can kind of cook on it.
Ah. Ah. They'll taste like metal because there's aluminum and iron. They will ward off the fairies. Sorry. You know, because fairies don't.
Yeah, it
like
is aluminum.
iron.
I was right. Yeah, it's aluminum and iron oxide, which ends with iron and aluminum oxide.
Okay.
And it is an extremely exothermic reaction.
Yeah. Listen, you guys, it's an extremely exoskeleton reaction. Don't do it. Don't cook with the termites.
God damn it, Kefki.
Listen, the last time that man and termites had a cookout, at first it was okay. You know, they each brought hamburgers and hot dogs and brats and
I think I remember this. I was there. I remember. Yeah. Go on.
but unfortunately it trouble stirred.
Well, they all
And,
tried to go down the slide at once.
well, they can't do that.
I know. They tore up the slide. It got too heavy and it just bent inwards. It was one of the big old metal slides, too. And then all the humans,
And that
they
bent?
had to go on the plastic slide for little kids. And that was so humiliating and embarrassing, so it caused war.
Well, the plastic slides are superior because the plastic slides don't become hotter than the surface of the sun.
Yeah. How are you
And
supposed to
cause
cook your
it
butt
to
on the
be-
plastic?
Holy shit, that's also the problem. It was equally the heat of the sun and the
Hotter
warmth
than
of the
the
bun.
sun.
It was the trifecta.
Because, yeah, metal slides, you can't go down a metal slide on a hot day without getting at least a second-degree burn.
Uh-huh. That's crazy talk to try to do that.
Huh?
And that's the only slides we had when I was a kid too. Burn your legs and your butt. As Adam
Yep.
said, you toast your buns.
Yeah. You need to get a flour sack in order to go down the slide so that you don't burn the shit out of yourself.
I had never thought of that. I wish I had thought of that. That is
Huh.
genius.
Yeah, get a flour sack or a potato sack and go down the slide like that. You won't burn yourself.
That is genius.
It's a easy trick.
Pillowcase work?
It would, but you're more likely to get in trouble with your manda using your pillowcase and going into the dirt at the bottom of the slide than
This is
if you
true.
grab a
Pillowcase.
flour sack or a flour sack or a potato sack and go down like that.
This is true. This is true. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
don't
if you don't
ruin the
have
good
taters, you can use your dad's good jacket and put it under your butt.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whew.
Yeah, the metal slide really does double as a griddle.
Good old days. Now our kids are shooting fireworks at each other. So
Hey, look, me and my brother had firecracker wars. Oh,
Adam, you live
It
far
was-
too close to Chicago to think that they're fireworks.
So
Oh,
there
they're
was this
fireworks.
brilliant thing called a Roman candle gun. You get a wire rack, right? You bend it just right, and you slide the Roman candle in there, and then you tighten it with like a twist tie, and then you fashion it to where you have like a handle. You light it, and you can aim it, pop, 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 pop. It's cool.
Mhm.
Oh
Yes.
my goodness. Kefki,
It's so fun.
are you sitting here explaining the 3D printing documentaries as to how to
No, there ain't no
fixate-
3D printing to it. Use a wire hanger, guys. I'll give you a tutorial if you want. Take the
Yeah,
wire
well-
hanger, bend it,
the federales are going to be coming after us now. Oh lordy lord.
what's this? Oh, well, then I shouldn't tell you about, those smoke grenades you get. The smoke grenade
No,
is
don't
in
tell
the
me
little
about
plastic grenade. You
me
do
about
that,
grenades.
then once the grenade is gone, you can shove black cats in that.
Kefki's a little rebel here.
Okay, I misheard the last bit of that because I heard you can shove black cats in it, and I was just
Yeah,
thinking,
black cat
that does
fireworks.
not sound
Next
very
thing-
healthy for the cats.
Next thing you know,
Oh, wow. Yes, sir.
Kefki's gonna be like, "Don't you know how to make a self-propelled rocket? Let me tell you how to fucking. All you have to do is gathering these objects." I'm just sitting there like,
If you
Kev,
ever
what
want
the
to make
fuck?
your own little
No,
homemade napalm, all you do is get some diesel and you get some
No.
styrofoam, and
Ooh.
oh, don't make
I
it
didn't
so
give the right
interesting,
recipe
Kefki.
there when I said that.
Look, okay, let's skip
So
back
what
to
is it now? Styrofoam?
Styrofoam is the right component. The other one was the one that I
jeez.
said that's the incorrect component.
Oh, well, foofers. Bleach.
I-
Bleach.
Hey, can I
No,
just
not bleach.
hold on. Is it clear? Right? Can I just say I love you both?
No, you don't. You don't. You really love me.
And welcome, Cryptic.
Harold.
Okay, so I
Oh,
went to
shit,
look it up,
Cryptic. Okay, I love you 3.
No,
and
no,
now
no,
I know how to
no.
do it.
Grace.
You've never loved me. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, Cryptic. You're a cool guy. You've
No.
been a good guy all the time.
Hi, Cryptic.
Oh, reliable.
Yeah, I
Right.
did say black cats. They're the little boom firecrackers, right? Black cats. They explode, but if you want to get really fancy, you take an M80 and shove it in that motherfucker.
Jesus,
They ain't chucking at your
Whoa.
friends.
you are
Whoa.
scaring the fuck out of me right now.
I know. Like, you don't want me shoving shit up people's butthole. I mean, it's kind of bad.
Shove it up nobody's butthole and put it in the little grenade, the smoke grenade.
I don't like anybody going by my butthole. So I
No,
don't
no.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah.
I don't like any, but wait, what?
What?
And why are you making those
What?
grenades if they aren't supposed to be suppositories?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. They are to fight off anyone that wants to give me a repository.
Do you not like collections of things?
Oh, I like collections. I like collections.
So then you
I
like
have a hoard.
repositories.
up the butt.
Oh,
What do you have
Then yes,
against
I like
repositories?
repositories.
This conversation is asinine.
Wait, what was it?
Suppositories.
Oh,
Suppositories go up your
suppositories.
ass. Repositories are just collections of things.
So why is it called suppositories? Does it take away something? Takes away your
Because
ability to feel like you haven't had something shoved up
Takes away a
your
bit
ass.
of being a man because somebody
Yes, that.
suppository in your asshole.
because sub
Yeah.
means under
Uh-huh.
and Satori
Ah.
means
Uh-huh. Give me.
a place that you put something. So a
See.
repository is a place that you
Mhm.
store things
Mhm.
for an extended period of time, that
There
you
you go.
pull them out, you put them back in. A suppository is something that you store in down under.
See, this is Sanguine is so brilliant. This is why I ask him all the tough questions. So, if somebody walks up to you and says, "Would you like a repository?" Wait, a suppository? You say no. You say no.
Unless that's what you're into,
You say no,
you would
everyone.
say
Say
no.
no. Just
If
say
that's
no
what you're
to butt
into,
stuff.
then ask them what sort.
Butt
But
stuff. What?
but
She
but
says it
but
and it sounds so bad. I don't feel comfortable anymore.
Why?
but can I ask you a question?
But cryptic.
Stop saying butt.
You wanna ask
That was
stuff?
a lot of butts.
I don't know.
Damn.
But
Maybe
cryptic wants to ask you stuff.
Yeah, but I don't
You're so
understand.
forceful with the stuff. Gotta
Sorry,
be
cryptic. What were you?
gentle. At least let me ease into it.
This is not a thing that you're gentle with. You just shove it in there and go.
No. Wow, that doesn't
Wow.
make it any better.
I'm
What are
sorry.
we doing? What are we
I'm
doing?
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Adam's going to have nightmares of all the stuffing and butts and stuffing butts.
HR stuffing butts. He said,
No.
wait, no. God, no, brain, shut up. Oh,
Though
God.
you were saying cryptic.
This conversation has been asinine, so
Yes, and I.
Alright.
okay.
You haven't been made the butt of all the jokes, cryptic.
I know.
I'm sorry.
He's
I'm
going to be
not.
laughing
I
for
am.
a bit. So, did you have something else that you wanted to say, cryptic?
No, I think Kev's dead, so we're good.
Wait, we're good. Why do you want to kill me, yo? What did I
Nah,
ever
no,
do to you, Cryptic?
you're a black man. Men in black.
But, why would you want to?
Don't worry
Cannot
about
think.
it. Don't
Sanguine,
worry
come
about
up with a witty retort for me, please.
I don't think you're allowed to outsource your witty retorts.
Damn it!
She has macro. She's like, hey, Sanguine, summon, macro A4D for response. Holy shit, that's awesome.
I think outsourcing a quip just means that you've had to surrender that point.
No. It's just using my resources. I got somebody smart here. Just gonna ask them.
No,
There was
you're-
no call a friend option.
But they're always.
You
Wait.
can't check with the audience.
Oh, that's what I should have done. Oh, guys, give me a witty retort. Carry on with your conversation. Nothing
But-
is happening here.
Don't worry about it.
Were there any stories that you guys found that jumped out at you throughout the day? I have two that would be interesting to talk about, I think.
Yeah, go for it. What is it?
Hmm.
Well, one of them is. Are you guys familiar with who John of God is? Not the like 14th century, or no, earlier than that, like the 10th century, maybe 9th century John of God that formed the hospitality area, but the modern John of God.
Sorry, who? John of God? No.
John of
Is he
God, the
literally of
Brazilian.
God? His name?
That's what he's known as, John of God, the
Oh,
Brazilian
okay.
faith healer. That
The
Oh.
guy who was most recently arrested.
yeah, he was sentenced a while ago to 270 years in
Jeebus!
prison.
What did he
And
do?
well, he just had an additional 90 years tacked on for additional charges of human trafficking, sex trafficking, pedophilia,
Okay, yeah, he
and
can rot in hell. He can rot in there. Let him
all
fucking
that
die.
shit.
I hope he gets N80 shoved up his repository. I hope he gets M80 up his butt.
Yeah, if you're shoving a suppository up someone's bum, you're turning their bum into a repository for your suppository.
That's genius. You're
And that's a-
you're using a suppository to make his colon your repository. Wait, it's not a colon. To make his intestines your
Well, if you
repository.
shove it up high enough, you will be in the colon.
I think we should do that to him, yes.
But yeah, he's just had an additional 90 years tacked on.
Good.
And there was something interesting when I saw that I remembered. Isn't this like the fourth or fifth person that has been brought up on very similar charges that was a close personal friend of Oprah Winfrey?
Huh.
Because he was close friends with Oprah. He was close friends with Weinstein. He was close friends with a bunch of politicians,
Mm-hmm.
most of which also feature on another specific list, shall we say.
You mean Bill Clinton?
Yeah, he had a bunch of friends in high places.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is like the fourth or fifth one fairly recently that this has happened, because there was the R&B version of Weinstein that came out, where a good chunk of what he was doing was just soliciting prostitution, because it was, if you fuck me, I'll give you a record deal.
Well, sorry.
But some of it was properly illegal, not just prostitution, but fucked up shit. Then there was Weinstein, fucked up shit. Then there was Epstein, really fucked up shit. John of
Yes.
God, really fucked up shit. And there are a few others as well. And I'm going, why is it that we keep ending up with people that are friends with all the same people that are getting arrested for all of this? But trust me, guys, they haven't done a thing related to it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. It's once they get that little bit of power or a little bit of power, once they get that power, they think they're beyond the law, that they can do any fucking thing they want. And to an extent, they're right. Sadly, people will allow them to do any fucking thing they want. One day, however, they won't be allowed to do it, and they're going to pay for it.
See, the thing that I've always held to is there's the people that say that money corrupts. There's the people that say that power corrupts. And I disagree with both of those sentiments.
Mm.
And I disagree with them for a very specific reason. I think that money and power are just things that free up people to
They
give
accentuate the
into-
corruption, right? Is that what you're saying?
They accentuate whatever character the person has.
Yes.
So
yes,
someone
I
who
agree.
is really fucking good, just like salt of the earth motherfucker, that gets an obscene amount of money, they tend to use that obscene amount of money to do shit that they were doing beforehand with less money. They'll
Mm-hmm.
help out their friends. They'll help out their family. They'll give charitably. They'll go out of their way to find things that they can do in order to make people's lives better.
Yes.
A fairly good example from the social media age of this sort of person, I would say Mr. Beast. Mr. Beast
Oh, I've heard of him. Yeah.
goes out of his way to help people as much as he can.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people go after him because they go, well, he makes more money off of helping people.
Who cares?
But
He's helping someone. I don't give a shit.
And also,
You know?
he makes more money off of helping people. Then
Yeah,
he
to help
uses
people
to
that
do
he'll
something
use.
even more ridiculous.
Yeah,
to help
exactly. Yeah.
Because people got pissed off about him. One of the things that he did was he would go to various grocery stores
Uh-huh.
in his state after he got a large amount of money,
Uh-huh.
and he would kind of arrange with the grocery store ahead of time, asking if it was okay for him to fill it in the grocery store. And then if they said yes, he would show up on a random day. He would go up to the cashiers and go up to the store manager and go, okay, no one's money is worth anything to you today.
Oh, wow.
I'm covering everything.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's amazing.
And he would just pay for everyone's groceries in the store. And yeah, he would record that he was paying for everyone's groceries, and he would get people clicking on his video to see that. But then he went from doing that shit to, not terribly long ago, he cured over 1,000 people's blindness.
Like, were they blind, or was it just like really legally blind? That's a good way to legally blind.
Yeah,
versus
they're legally.
actual. Okay, yeah. So that's
And
awesome.
he paid for the surgery because it's a fairly quick outpatient procedure. But
Oh,
it costs money.
LASIK, laser eye surgery, right?
I can't remember whether it was LASIK or one of the others, but it was something very similar to that.
Uh-huh.
Where he paid for 1,000 people
Oh,
that
wow.
were legally blind
Yeah.
to have their vision returned.
That's fucking amazing. That's so kind.
And people again went after him, saying that he was being a greedy bastard because he had advertisements on the video, and it was just
God.
him trying to make people think that he was a good person by
God.
doing this, that he didn't actually care. All he cared about was the clicks on the video.
Oh, my
And
God.
then there were also people saying that he was trying to genocide blind people.
Wait, what?
Oh, you haven't heard those arguments, Kefki? Where
No.
if you're trying to cure someone of a disorder that hinders their life, you're trying to genocide people with that
That's
disorder.
so stupid. People, certain disorders that. When has a cure been genocide? Well, I shouldn't say that, should I?
Ever since these idiots started to identify the condition that they have with themselves, rather than identifying themselves as a person that happens to have the condition.
That is so stupid. That is so dumb. I mean,
I am
okay.
not Asperger's syndrome.
No, you are sanguine.
Sanguine.
Yeah.
If someone developed a cure for Asperger's syndrome tomorrow, and I took it, I would still be sanguine. I would just be sanguine that no longer has to deal with having Asperger's syndrome.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'd be really fucking thankful to whoever developed that cure. But for some fucking reason, there's a bunch of people that identify themselves with their condition.
That's
so
if stupid.
They're deaf and you offer to return their hearing, they think that you've just offered to genocide them because you've offered to get rid of them, since to their mind they are their disorder.
No, they are not. They're just I understand what you're saying, and to a degree, I can be okay. I can be devil's advocate. All right. I would say that I would not want to be cured of my main problem because I would lose my best friend. That scares me. So I can understand from that vantage point. However, if I was deaf and they offered to give me my hearing back, hell yeah. So in that I don't understand why people are upset about that. I
Yeah.
mean, I can slightly understand certain disorders because bad things would happen. Well, it depends on. Yes, bad things would happen if you erase that bit of someone. You see what I'm saying?
Well, at the same
But
time, I would slightly disagree with what you just said because
mm,
it it was a cure. It wouldn't just suddenly deprive you of an aspect, and I think that's Adam just zonked out there, so I'm going to quickly mute up Adam.
aw, Adam was sleepy.
But if someone has a condition removed from them, it isn't just making it so that they have the positive aspects stripped away. It's that the aspects that cause that to be a thing were removed. So there's
Okay.
certain aspects of Asperger's syndrome that, for
Mm,
instance, the hyperfocus can be very beneficial at times.
mm-hmm.
And potentially, it might be possible to remove the other issues while keeping the positive ones. That would be really nice. But
Mm,
the thing is that removing all of the negatives, even if I lost the hyperfocus, just
mm-hmm.
because I lost hyperfocus doesn't mean that I wouldn't be able to focus. So it would
Yeah.
still be a more than worthwhile trade. But yeah, there's a bunch of people that think that if you cure blindness, you've genocided the blind.
Yeah, I think it's very dependent upon like what the the thing is that you're curing. I guess. I don't know. In my opinion, it is like you said, you could still focus. You would
And
still
yeah,
be able to
as
focus.
Rotten just said, it's not a lobotomy. You'll still have the personality that you had before. But it would just remove the issues that were there. Like for Asperger's syndrome, it would remove the inability to read facial expressions.
That would be nice if you could do that. Yes.
And it would make it so that it isn't
But
freaky making eye contact with people.
hmm okay, but right, see, it kind of is like a lobotomy because the quote cure unquote the perfect cure for my main issue is integration, and that would destroy. So it would kind of be lobotomy. Yeah, but
Well, it'd be a unification. It wouldn't
yes.
be a destruction. It's a unification. It's kind of like if you had two puzzle pieces and you stuck them in the puzzle that was a hole. You
Mhm.
didn't destroy the puzzle pieces. You just worked them into a hole.
Well, you would have to change them, and that means the
Not
integration means
necessarily.
change.
So, yes and no, because in the puzzle piece analogy, it's that both pieces are still a thing. They're just a part of a whole. So, you combine them together, and you kind of change them because you made them into the whole.
Mhm.
But they're still there.
Mm.
They've just been put together and made into a unified whole rather than being each a part, a separate part. You made them a unified whole. But you get what I'm saying with the.
No,
There are people
I.
that think that it's genocide. So there are people that were going after Mr. Beast for that. But in my opinion, curing someone of blindness, that's a good thing.
Yes,
And
yes.
I think that when people get money, any positive characteristic that they have that is actually a positive characteristic that they have and not just something that they feign at having, that gets dialed up because they're able to do it more.
Wait, they what?
Fake, feign, false, not real. They pretend.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
Feign means to fake something.
Okay,
So,
okay.
any feigned virtue they'll abandon because they don't feel the need to continue faking it. Whereas any true virtue, they'll be able to enact to a larger degree. The thing is that any vice that they had that they tried to hide, they won't have that drive to hide it anymore.
Okay.
And that allows it to come to the fore. Also, anything that they would have liked to have been able to do that was fucked up and they just didn't have the opportunity. Well, if you give someone enough money, enough power, they have the opportunity. So,
yes. Yeah, you've given them the opportunity to do it, so they're going to most likely take it because it was in them the whole time to do it.
Yeah, so I don't think that money and power corrupt a person. I think it's just that money and power remove all the governors from a person. A governor.
They open doors, basically.
That's another way of saying it. A governor is a mechanical device that keeps an engine from spinning too quickly.
Oh,
so
okay.
As an engine spins up, the governor starts to spin. When the engine's spinning too quickly, the governor spins too quickly, which then causes it to throttle the engine. And as the engine gets throttled, the governor starts to spin slower, so it stops throttling the engine. So
it's something that is set into place to make it function as it should, right?
Yes,
or
to keep it within a certain boundary.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yes, yes.
So all of the governors on a person are removed with money and power.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like I said, that isn't corrupting them. It depends on if the person's natural inclination is towards corruption or whether it's not. And if it is, then yeah, they're going to end up fucked up. If it isn't, then they're just going to be who they are at a larger degree. This is the thing that is kind of the central point of Superman. And it's the thing that everyone gets wrong about Superman. Superman is not a Kryptonian in his character. Superman is a farm boy. He's a farm boy that was raised by two absolutely amazing people. And he picked up their morality. So that's the cool part about Superman. And the reason why Superman is this great hero is because he's just that salt of the earth farm boy with the power to do amazing things. So all of the things that he would have wanted to do if he was just a normal mortal man, he now has the ability to do. When he wanted to protect people, which he would want to protect people whether or not he had the powers, now he just has the ability to protect people. And this is the thing that Hollywood writers get wrong constantly, at least recently. They always want to make it so that, oh no, he's innately good. He's not innately good. He's good because of how he was brought up. And it's not the powers that make him special. It's the personality that makes him special. And the powers just make his personality apparent.
Yeah. Yeah. He had good parents, raised him right.
Yep. And yes, Cougar Nut, they would argue that curing erectile dysfunction would be genociding cucks. And it's infuriating that there's so many people that have these sorts of arguments. Because I see this constantly when it comes to people that have Asperger's syndrome and autism. And it's one of the most infuriating things that to me. are the people that say, "Oh, you're trying to genocide us," and I'm here going, "No. If you told me that there was a cure tomorrow, and I had to fight my way to a village of children in order to get the cure, how many fucking children do I need to kick the ass of?
Nah.
I'm getting that goddamn cure. How big is this fucking village?"
Yeah.
So it
Yeah, I
drives me
think a
crazy.
lot
I'm
of people
so
that say
charmed.
that, I think a lot of the people that say that don't actually have that.
So
They're
there's
yeah.
two categories to my mind. There's the people that don't actually have it, and all they're trying to do is they're trying to be quirky. So they
Mhm.
self-diagnose themselves as having
Mhm.
every mental disorder under the sun.
Yeah, you should never self-diagnose. That's unless you're a doc. Even doctors go to other doctors to get diagnosed with things.
Yep.
I mean,
And
come on.
it should never be something that you are proud of. A
Right.
diagnosis like that is something that you shouldn't be ashamed of, but it shouldn't be like, "This is my crowning achievement. I have Asperger's syndrome.
Yeah. I know you say you
This
shouldn't
makes
be
me
ashamed, but a
important."
lot of people still have that innate. Is innate
Oh,
the
yeah.
right word? Shame. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's acquired rather than innate. Innate
Well,
would
yeah,
be
acquired.
naturally occurring within
Ah,
themselves.
yes,
Acquired
acquired
would
shame.
be
Yeah.
something that is learned.
Yeah. But it was learned young, and so it's with you,
Yep.
and it's gonna always be there. Yeah.
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 But it's still acquired because it was something that they learned. But
Yeah.
I think the solution is to deal with that learned shame. It's one of the things that I am constantly driven up the wall about is there's a world of difference and a world of different degrees between pride and shame.
Mm.
And the vast majority of things are things that you should neither feel pride nor shame about.
Mhm.
You shouldn't have brown hair pride, nor should you have brown hair shame.
Mm.
It should just be, yeah, you have brown hair. When it
You should
comes
have
to,
indifference, basically, is what you're saying, right?
it's, yeah, almost an indifference. It's just a, yeah, this is how this is.
Uh huh.
What, I didn't do anything to have the brown hair. I just
Mm.
have the brown hair. Why would I be proud of
Oh,
this? Why would I be ashamed of it?
yeah. It's just
It's,
how you are, basically.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's should be something that's just treated like a statement of fact that
Yeah.
water makes things wet.
Right. Yes, I understand now. Yes.
No one should be treating the fact that water makes things wet as if that's something that needs to be praised nor needs to be condemned. It's just, yeah, water makes things wet. You have
Yeah.
brown hair? Okay. So what? You have this color eye? It doesn't fucking matter. Okay, you have that color
Mhm.
eye. This
Yeah.
skin tone? Okay, you have that skin tone. You like to fuck a consenting adult of this description? Who the fuck gives a shit?
Mhm.
That shouldn't be something that anyone has pride in. That shouldn't be something that anyone has shame in. But for some reason, we have this feeling that if someone felt shame for it at some point, well, they need to feel pride for it now. No, they don't. Just get rid of the shame. Don't replace shame with undue pride.
Mhm.
Just get rid of the shame. Get rid of the
Mhm.
stigma.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a problem if someone's gay. It shouldn't be a shame. It shouldn't be a pride. It
So
just
you're saying that you
they're
can't
gay.
get rid of a stigma by replacing the shame with pride. Yeah, that's not going to work. That's just going to make that's going to make people annoyed and reinforce it. basically, right?
And, well, it's more that you then make it something to claim to be. So
Mm-hmm.
if you make being gay a point of pride, well, there's going to be people that aren't gay that will want the recognition
Mm-hmm.
for being gay because you've decided that being gay is something to be proud of. So they'll want to be proud and they'll falsely claim that they're gay. That doesn't help
Mm.
them, it doesn't help anyone else. It, in fact, hurts them and hurts other people.
Mm-hmm.
It's better to just get rid of the stigma so that you don't have people that aren't that thing claiming to be that thing, nor do you have
Yeah.
people that are that thing saying that, no, 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 I'm not that. But we
Yeah.
have this habit of, well, we were shaming people that had autism and Asperger's syndrome and these developmental issues. And now you have a bunch of chuckle fucks because we've been telling people, no, 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 you shouldn't just not feel ashamed, but you should be proud that you're different in this way. So now we have a bunch of chuckle fucks that they want to be different. They want to be acknowledged as something. So they'll say, well, I have autism. I'm autistic too. Look at me. I'm autistic. And then we also
Yeah.
have the assholes that think that just because you have X, Y, or Z, that means that you cannot be chastised for whatever you do. Just because you're autistic, that means that you're allowed to be a raging asshole.
Yeah. Yeah. No. They use it
And
as a shield. Yeah.
yeah, so you have the people that use it as a shield, and you have the people that falsely ascribe it, and then you have the people that they've defined their personality by it because they've been told that it's a point of pride.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of all that. Stop having people personally identify with whatever syndrome, disorder, disease, what have you, they happen to have.
Yeah.
Because it goes back to that thing that I've said I don't know how many times on streams now, of you have a bunch of people that if you ask Joe Schmo from Idaho to describe themselves, Joe Schmo from Idaho will probably go, well, I do this for a living, and he'll tell you about his job, that he is either single or he's dating or he's engaged or that he has a wife, potentially that he has kids, and he'll start talking about the things that he's done in his life
Mm-hmm.
and the things that are important to him. He'll talk about his hobbies. He'll talk about his interests. We have a sizable chunk of the population now that if you ask them to tell you about themselves, they'll start with what their skin pigmentation is, then what genitals they happen to have betwixt their legs, then what sorts of bits they enjoy playing with,
Mm-hmm.
followed by any sort of physiological or neurological disorder they may so happen to have. And the thing is that that first person, you've learned a fuck ton about, because you learned what their interests are, what their passions are, what they like to do for fun, what they have to do for a living, whether they enjoy their job or not, what their families like, what their relationships are like. You learn all of that from asking a normal person to tell you about themselves, and from asking a normal person questions that naturally arise from what they say when you say, tell me about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
From that second person, you have learned not a goddamn fucking thing about them.
I think I have learned one thing about that person.
That you don't want to be
they
anywhere
are an
near them.
attention whore. Sorry.
The one nice thing that I've learned whenever I have that sort of explanation from someone is that I've learned that I don't want to be around this person.
Yeah, yes. Because it's just like I don't understand why you would define yourself by stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just be you. Just be you.
And the thing is that a lot of these people are also the ones that are up in arms that you shouldn't use stereotypes. It's ridiculous that you would stereotype someone. How fucking dare you?
But they're
And then-
doing the same damn thing when they do that.
Well, the thing is that when that's all they give you, that they don't give you their interest, they don't give you what their life is actually like, nothing of any sort of import or use.
Mm-hmm.
All they tell you is their skin color, their genitals, and their preferred genitals of their sexual partner. Yeah, all it's done is it's made it so that if you tried to get anything that you could actually go off of with that, then you end up with, okay, so you said that you're white. So do you like country music? Well, why would you think that I like country music? Well, all you fucking told me was that you were white. What the fuck else am I supposed to go for?
You're stereotyping
than-
me.
A stereotypical thing. If all you're giving me is basic demographic information, all I have left is a stereotype.
Mm.
Do
Yeah.
you like rock music or do you like country music? Because that's a stereotype of white people. You'll have the people that love rock music, and you'll have the white people that love country music.
Heavy metal.
Yeah, which would be categorized under rock to a certain extent. But yeah, you have... That's all you're able to do with that information. All you're able to do is go with, okay, you gave me basic demographic info, I'm going to stereotype you now. And then they get pissed off when people stereotype them. Fuck you.
Yeah, okay. Well, but stereotyping is putting people into categories, like kind of like categorization. And then what they're doing with the listing off this, listing off that, is they're kind of doing the same thing, right?
They're just giving you their categories.
Yeah.
Because stereotyping is taking categories and assuming things about a person given those categories.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if all they've told you is their categories as them telling you about themselves, the only way that they've told you something about themselves is if they're saying, yes, use the stereotypes, because otherwise those categorizations don't do a fucking thing. Because they're also the most surface level categorizations. It'd be one thing if someone said, like, yeah, I'm a massive anime fan.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is a categorization of themselves. They're telling me that they are part of the group known as anime fans.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that anime fans are a group that has a distinct unifying interest. Anime fans like anime. So I can start asking them about, what's your favorite anime? What sorts of anime do you like to watch? Have you seen this particular anime? What do you think of that one versus this one? I can do shit like that. Because that's giving me some sort of bit of information about who the fuck I'm talking to.
Yes.
And it just drives me crazy because it routinely happens that people will give these explanations of who they are and what they're about, and it gives you absolutely no information.
Mm. Yeah. I will never understand basing your personality on your mental quirks. I don't get that. That's just, it's so stupid. You're so one dimensional if you do that. And but like people think, oh, I'm special, right? I'm special. I'm different. I have this and this and this. And like, no, you're not, because you're saying you have this, and this, and you're acting just like a stereotypical person that has this, and this. And so you're not special at all. There's lots of people like you out there. You know, it's just, I think it boils down to people just want to be different and special.
Yeah, that's one of the
Yeah.
issues. That we have a bunch of people that are desperate to be interesting,
Yeah.
but they have absolutely nothing interesting about themselves because they haven't worked on making themselves interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So they've tried to take a shortcut. If you
Yeah.
want to be interesting, learn a skill, learn something interesting. Doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter what the fuck it is. And be passionate about it. Because someone could be talking about something that, on the face of it, is boring as shit to me. But if they sound excited when talking about it, it immediately makes me go, wait, why are they excited? Why do they seem so jonesed about this thing that I thought was fucking boring?
Mm-hmm.
And when you go into it and when you start talking about how fascinating you find it and why you find it fascinating, there's a fair chance that people will go, that's really fucking cool.
Mm.
Just because when you're introduced to something that someone is just absolutely fucking losing their mind about how much they love it, it makes you want to learn more.
Yes.
This is just a natural thing. It happens for everyone. This is the reason why. When people talk about their best teacher that they've ever had, no one starts off by saying, the best teacher that I've ever had was the most apathetic son of a bitch I've ever met. They sounded like they couldn't stand being there. When they talked about the subject, it was in this droning monotone that just really lulled me into this deep, deep slumber from which I
And it
wasn't
was the
sure if I
best
could
sleep I had.
ever awake. And it was due to that monotonous tone, to that complete lack of passion or interest or fire, that I realized I really loved the subject. No one has that story about the best teacher that they ever had. The best teacher that they've ever had story is always, I had this one teacher, and you could tell the moment they started talking about the subject, they loved this subject and they loved teaching and they loved teaching about this subject. They seemed excited every time that they were talking about this. And when that's everyone's best teacher story. It's someone who's passionate, someone who wants to talk about it, and it made them interested in it. That's where someone will discover a passion that they didn't know that they might possibly have. Same thing goes when you're talking to people. if every stream I was just, yes, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Minions of the Zoom. The minions with me this evening are Adam, Kefki, Cryptic, and I guess I'm the keeper for this evening, Sanguine.
My God, that's relaxing, though.
It might be relaxing, but it's not going to be the thing that people tune into to hear what the fuck I'm saying. It would be something that people tune into to fall the fuck asleep.
I know I would. Wait.
And if I was doing that, I would have absolutely no illusion that that would be why people were tuning in.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the vast majority of the time, at the very least, sometimes I'm a bit lower energy. Sometimes I can get a bit droning when something is just a, oh, good God, this again. But I think the majority of the time, I'm fairly animated in how I speak.
Mm-hmm.
And that is why the people that tune in most likely. Because I'm saying things, and I'm saying things in a way that is somewhat interesting. Now, sometimes I get a bit redundant, and people get annoyed with that, but that's also just how I tend to be. I'll ramble about something, and I might ramble about it 20 times in 20 different streams.
Mm.
Or I might try to rephrase something, and I try to rephrase things gradually rather than drastically. So I'll try to dial in an explanation, and that means that I'll explain it once, and then someone won't get it, so I'll explain it again, but I'll use a bit different wording, and I'll see if they get it that time. And then I'll explain it again a bit different until I get to a point where they go, oh, shit, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Sorry. I was real at Cannibalistic Wizards that he said he had a teacher that a kid that was slapping himself in the gazousers because he was a dum-dum and the teacher didn't do nothing. They laughed at him.
Yep.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, and the reason why that works is because he realized that you could tell someone 1,000 times, don't do that.
Mm.
Don't do that. I told you don't do that. And until they have that experience, unless they're extremely attentive to whatever you say, they're going to end up doing it at some point.
Yep.
So it became if you do it at some point and it's in front of me, I at least know how to deal with this shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And because I know how to deal with this shit, it won't be fun for you. You'll still remember this as the day I started to roast my family vegetables. But it'll be something that you'll then remember anytime that you start doing it. That, oh shit, yeah, that one time, because I wasn't wearing the proper protective equipment, I almost gelded myself with fire. So you'll...
Pain is a good motivator.
Yeah. It's the thing of, at a certain point, if you've told a child, don't touch that, it's hot. Don't touch that, it's hot. Don't touch that, it's hot.
Mm-hmm.
And the child is still reaching for it, a lot of parents reach the point where they won't have it turned up to the hottest setting that it can possibly be at, but they'll have it a fair bit hotter than is comfortable to touch.
Mm-hmm.
And their child will reach out for it, and they'll just kind of, okay, you're going to learn. Sit back, watch the child touch the thing that was too hot for them to comfortably touch. The child will go, oh, shit! And the parent will just go, I've told you how many times. That's hot. Are you okay? Let's get that burn treated. And they deal with that. Like I said, they won't have it be like, you aren't going to let your child touch the broiler of your oven while it's on high broil. But if you've finished cooking something and it's been a couple moments, not long enough for it to cool down entirely, and the child keeps on trying to touch your pot, at a certain point you're going to go, it's going to be hot. You're going to burn yourself. I told you. You could have avoided being burned if you had just listened to the fact that I told you won't like it. It's really hot.
Okay, but being told not to do something, it kind of makes you want to do it. It does. Yeah. I don't know why.
And that's what I'm getting at. There's a certain chunk of the population that is exactly their sentiment. That they're told not to do something, so it makes them want to do it all the more. Which means that they're going to do it at some point. So you have the choice of, do you let them do it while you're there, and you can see them do it, and you can help them with the downside of them having done it, or do you just keep on preventing them from doing it, and then when they do it, which they will eventually do it, they've just hurt themselves and no one's there to help.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh yeah, there's.
Did that student die? Sorry.
Most likely.
Oh God.
That's what happened to the inventor of, or the originator rather, of bechamel. Only he was trying to do it.
Oh.
He was a flamboyant French chef. And he was given the task of cooking for this amazing party. So it was him preparing everything. He came up with the menu. He came up with all the dishes. He placed the orders. And the first day, he was supposed to have this fantastic fish dish. So, first day shows up. Everyone's going to be coming to this massive feast, including the king. And the fish isn't there.
Uh-oh.
So he comes up with a replacement, but the replacement was meant to be the next day's meal. But he goes, okay, I'll do this as a replacement for right now. The next day, or the fish will be in tomorrow. I'll do the fish tomorrow. I'll do this today, and I'll be good. So he swaps the meal around, and everything's going well. And next day, fish hasn't shown up. He comes up with a workaround. And one of the other ingredients that was needed for his workaround hadn't shown up, but he came up with a way that kind of approximated what he wanted. He serves that, but is now really frustrated, and he feels like he just fucked up the meal. Next day, he gets word that the fish is still late.
Ugh.
He storms out of the kitchen. At one point, he was given a knighthood by the king for how fantastic a feast that he had made for the king was. So he pulls out the ceremonial sword that he received when he was knighted. He bares himself to the hips, and he kneels down, placing the butt of the sword against the side of the door that opens in to his bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
and the tip at the base of his neck. And he held the sword there. The fish finally came in. Someone went running to tell him that the fish had finally arrived. They swung open the door to his rooms,
Uh-oh.
driving the door into the hilt of the sword and the sword's blade through his neck.
Why you do this? Over a fish?
He did it because he thought that the person coming to find him was going to be coming to tell him how much everyone hated the feast thus far.
Oh.
And he couldn't bear to hear the negative review, effectively. So he planned to die before they could do it. Turns out it was the fish had arrived. And it killed him before he was able to find out about that.
Wow. This really happened? Really?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. Yeah. That's crazy. He must have been part Japanese. Oh yeah, he committed Harry Gary. I probably shouldn't have said that. Harry Gary.
He was a flamboyant Frenchman.
No.
But yeah, it was one of those weird stories from history where it's just, oh, okay, that was a healthy reaction to this mild.
Yeah. I mean, I understand, kinda. No, I don't. I wouldn't be suicidal over fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was the story of that.
Sudoku.
Cryptic, are you still there? Adam, have you woken back up?
Sudoku.
I'm stealing that. Cannibalistic wizard committed Sudoku. Dun dun dun.
Because if they're both still gone, I feel like we're somewhat winding down. I do have another topic that we could go into, but I'm not sure how interested you would be in the topic.
What is topic?
The troops that Biden is sending to Europe.
Europe?
Yep.
Wait, we at war with Britain now? What the?
No, so his mobilizing troops to go to Europe
Mm-hmm.
to be stationed at European bases, though the questionable thing is that seems very much like gearing up for war, which not exactly what people want to have happen.
No, not at all.
And going to Europe with all the tension in Ukraine kind of seems like he's angling that way.
I really hope that's not what's going on. You know who would know about this? Cryptic. You there? Cryptic?
Yeah.
So, Cryptic, have you heard about the Biden mobilizing troops?
Yeah. That he's more as a reservist sending for to Europe.
Yep.
Yeah. Um, I don't know the extent of what they are doing over there. It might be just for support, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's rather interesting. The one part that is not too worrying to me is the fact that we've seen how dysfunctional, shall we say, the Russian military has been thus far.
Yeah, I mean, our military is kind of dysfunctional right now too. So
It's interesting all the shit that's been going on over there with the frustrating shit as well as just the ridiculousness of it. And this is something that Adam and I were talking about a bit beforehand, so sadly he's not awake. It still pisses me off endlessly that NATO has forgotten the point of NATO.
yeah, NATO is basically right now is like they're the exact same thing that caused World War One. So
Yeah,
Oh,
because Cryptic, I know that you know what the original point of NATO was. Kefki, do you know what the original point of NATO was?
no.
Cryptic, do you want to say it, or shall I?
oh, go ahead.
NATO's entire point of existing was to contain and curtail the communist regimes.
Oh. Oh, okay.
That was its entire point. NATO was not anti-Russian. NATO was anti-USSR.
So they were communist busters.
Yes, it was anti-communist. It was meant to be the counterbalancing force that would prevent communism from being able to spill outside of the borders of Russia.
Yep.
Mm.
And
So it should have been that when the USSR collapsed and Russia popped up in its place, a entity that hadn't been seen for almost 100 years, because the last time that Russia was a thing was Tsarist Russia.
Tsar Nicholas.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which that was in the 19 teens.
Rasputin. Wait, no.
Yeah, Rasputin was the
Rasputin. Okay.
religious advisor and healer that Tsar Nicholas's wife ended up listening to. But what should have happened with NATO is that after the USSR fell, after Russia reemerged out of the corpse of the USSR, and after it became clear that Russia was not just the USSR 2 Electric Boogaloo, NATO should have gone, Russia, what do you think about communists? We hate them. Oh, you aren't communists? No, we aren't communists. Do you want to join our group that the entire point is fuck communists? That should have been the very first thing that was done.
Why would they not do that then?
We didn't do that because NATO lost its plot and decided that its point was not to be anti-communist, not even to be anti-USSR, but that its point was to be anti-Russian. at some point.
Oh.
Basically, we alienated Russia to the point where
And
they
that isn't. Oh, go ahead.
yeah. Oh, the whole problem with the NATO after USSR, like Sanguine said, is like they when disbanded, is like they didn't have a purpose, so they latched on to be anti-Russians instead.
Instead of doing what they should have done, which is maintain the anti-communists, and
Yeah.
they. It's not to say that. Well, we provoked Russia, because that doesn't justify everything that's happened by any stretch of the imagination. Was it a factor? Yeah, to a larger degree, what we did with forcing Russia to be the boogeyman of Europe after the USSR fell. Because when the USSR was around, there wasn't really having to make Russia the boogeyman of Europe. Russia just was the boogeyman of Europe. The USSR was the boogeyman. They were doing fucked up shit, left, right, and center, and they were trying to expand. NATO prevented that. That was a good part of it. Once the USSR fell, Russia didn't need to be the boogeyman. It wasn't the boogeyman. It was a corpse that was vaguely animated at that point. And it should have been brought in because one of the major issues that caused all this shit, I've said before that this entire kerfuffle is something that was woefully predictable and also something that was just going to happen, and you could understand each side where they fell on it, because Russia has always had one major problem when it comes to military history. Its one major problem is Russia's capital is right on its fucking face. When you look at most capitals, they're kind of interior, or they're on a coast. So London is on a coast. It's able to get away with that because it has water. It's not right on the coast, but it's close enough to the coast that it counts. It is far closer to the coast than anyone would want to be to a border. Russia's capital is within spitting distance of its border.
Yep.
And when you're within spitting distance of your border, it means that anytime any of the nations near that border start to look like they might be going, you know what, fuck Russia, you have to act, and you have to act quickly. Because if you don't act before they start marching, they have your capital before you're able to mobilize.
Yep, and that's why they're pissed that Finland and Poland part of the NATO alliance, because people don't realize during the two world wars, the reason why Russia basically staked out those countries is because they didn't want NATO to be on the basically.
The reason why Russia pushed to the west was it wanted a
buffer
between its capital and the Western powers.
Yep, and now that Finland and Poland basically destroyed that buffer, the hostility is a lot higher now.
Well, Finland was never part of Russia's, or not never, but it hasn't been part of Russia's buffer since the old Kievan Rus Empire.
Right, but they always had Finland and as basically like kind
Well,
of
they tried to take Finland during World War II. That did
Yeah.
not end well.
no, but still, it's.
That's how we got Samahaya.
But the thing is, though, they're not very happy right now. And we're NATO as a entity is basically surrounding Russia, and
Yep.
they're not very happy about it.
And like I said, if we had done what we should have, which is, hey, you're no longer the USSR. Want to join our group that we just hate communists? You hate communists too, right? Yeah, we hate communists. Okay, join our communist hating group. Suddenly, getting more NATO on that side, it isn't making them go, oh, god damn, we have a group that is coming to punch us in the face right outside our fucking capital. Now it's all of NATO becomes the buffer for Moscow to the Russian mind, where they're looking at other NATO powers as, yeah, we have our military station there, just like every other NATO power. And if it was sold right, it could be, or could have been sold as the world needs a few different counterbalancing forces in order to work at its best. And Russia, why don't you become the great European bear? We'll have the great European bear, we'll have the European lion, the European eagle, and then we'll have the American bald eagle. And these will be the four powers that kind of balance each other out to a certain degree.
Well, I don't know how true this was, but there was basically, which Putin was like, had an interview. I don't know. I don't know the exact detail, but basically during the Clinton era, right?
Oh yeah, the thing that Peter just mentioned?
Yes.
Yep.
And, basically we pushed them away when they were like, we, let us join NATO or, become part of NATO. Everybody rejected them.
Yeah.
Because they were democratic at the time, right? So we get that, right? But instead of working as they transitioned, right, we basically blocked them out. Now they have resentment towards us.
And it wasn't, Peter, it wasn't so much that the U.S. military ran the USSR. A more accurate assessment would be that the U.S. federal government allowed the USSR to exist. Because in a large part, we did. Constantly. We did it right after World War II. Cryptic probably knows about this line that I'm about to bring up. Do you remember what Patton was saying right after World War II? Cryptic?
No, I don't remember the exact line, but I'm blind right now because I haven't talked about it.
So, right after World War II,
yeah,
Patton was saying, okay, we've defeated the Nazis. Now, can we gear up for the actual fucking fight for Europe?
Oh, yeah.
And what he meant was, let's take out the commies.
Yeah.
And he was ordered to stand down. Then his power was slowly being chipped away at. Because he kept on agitating for, let's fucking go after the communists now.
Yeah.
So that was... Oh, go ahead.
Patton recognized that, like, the commies were a bigger threat than the fucking Nazi were.
Yeah. And especially since they had just defeated the Nazis weren't a threat at that point. The communists still were. So
well,
good.
the biggest problem was like Patton realized like the only reason why USSR the USSR was on the Allied side was because we're trying to they got backstabbed by the Nazis.
Yeah, the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact,
Yep.
which ended up getting torn up by the Nazis when they did Operation Barbarossa.
Yeah. And he realized like the when they annexed like Poland, right? Like Poland, they would have never have fought each other had it wasn't for the annexation of Poland and how they divided the territory.
Well, they wouldn't have even fought each other after Poland. What caused the fight was when Hitler
Yep.
correctly identified that in order for the Nazis to have a chance at actually surviving long term, they needed to have oil.
Yep.
So he had two major attacks planned in order to get oil. One was the North African campaign going towards the Middle East.
Mhm.
The other was to drive into the USSR because there were massive oil fields
Yep.
on the western edge of the USSR. So he wanted to dive in, get those oil fields. His generals were pushing to Moscow. He was pushing to the oil fields. His generals kept on countermanding him, which is an interesting bit of history when you actually look into it. He was correct in that. He was fucked up. He was correct in it, though. That in order for them to survive, they would have needed oil. That's the part I'm saying he was correct in. Do not try to twist it out of that framing. I am not saying he was correct in anything else, just that he was correct that if the Nazis were to continue the fight, they needed oil.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing with the fucking Japanese and fighting in Pacific Rim. The reason why they attacked us was because we denied them oil.
Yep.
Yeah.
The reason why Patton was really big on now's the time that we push and attack them right after the war was the only reason why the USSR was still a thing was Lend-Lease. Do you know how much Lend-Lease we gave them?
No. Go ahead.
94% of their rail lines in the country were American-made rail.
That's a lot.
78% of their locomotives on that 94% of rail line were U.S.-made locomotives.
Yeah.
A quarter of all the tanks used for the mechanized offensive that ended up reversing the Eastern campaign, a quarter of them, 25%, were American Shermans that were given to the USSR. The USSR didn't actually produce enough tanks to even meet replacement, so their tanks were being destroyed at a faster rate than they were making their tanks up until right after the mech offensive, if I remember correctly. So had we not been sending them tanks, they wouldn't have had tanks to have their mech offensive that turned the Eastern campaign.
Yeah.
Most of the metal that they used in order to make the weapons that they made in country was American-made metal sent to them. A good chunk of their food supply was sent by America. Most of their copper lines for communication was American mined, American produced, American spun copper lines.
Yeah, and that's why it pisses me off when people are like, "Oh, America didn't get involved into World War II until like towards the last 2 years." I'm like, we were involved. We were just physically fighting. We like you say, we sent resources all over the goddamn world. It's just that,
we bankrolled everyone.
yeah, and it's like the only reason why we fucking even started, the only reason why we got pulled in was because we finally said, you know what, we're not gonna send fucking any resources to Japan, and well, we stopped sending resources to Germany. That pissed them off, and then basically Japan was desperate at the time because the majority of the oil resources that we gave them, we just cut them off, and they weren't in a position at the time to replace that resources. So they're like, oh, you know what, we're gonna take it by force. So and you know, that's why like in, you know, understand, like Southeast Asia, right? They were, when they attacked the United States, they took over the governments there from like France, from, you know, in Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, all that stuff. They're puppet states where they got resources to Japan.
Yep.
Because there were colonies and they just took them over.
Yep. And this was something that, when you look at the production of gas, oil byproducts, all of that, at that time, you had only a handful of major producers. You had the English-run Middle East. You had the Americans and American-run Asian colonies, because there were a few of them that were oil producers, not anywhere near to the scale as America as a whole, but they contributed. And then the European Asian colonies and Russia. Those were the major sources of fuel at the time. The Axis didn't have any of them. That's part of the reason why a lot of people look at German tanks and they go, oh, the German tanks were so amazing. But they just stopped using them at some point and they went back to horses. Why the hell did they do that? Well, they didn't have fuel. So if the Germans tried to use tanks throughout the entire war like they did during their Blitzkrieg, they would have very quickly turned into Russia during the Ukrainian offensive.
Yeah, I mean, the German had far superior technologies to the West, and I could.
In some instances, they had some really slick tech.
Yeah, but
in other instances, their tech was kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, their limitation wasn't their tech; their limitation was their resources. So.
Yep, it absolutely was.
Yeah.
But a lot of the German tanks are so ridiculous that a German Tiger tank could take on a modern M1 Abrams. No, that's bullshit.
Yeah,
very good tanks.
Yes.
They aren't that amazing. And a lot of the shit that's been said about Shermans has been greatly overdone as well. Like there's the comment that Peter said where the Shermans weren't great tanks. We just had a hell of a lot of them. The Shermans, they weren't the most amazing tank, but there's a lot of people that tried to make it sound like Shermans were absolute shit. Shermans weren't bad tanks. They just weren't the most amazing tanks. And we had far better tanks after working for a little bit longer. on tank production. It's just that a lot of people look at them and they look kind of dinky. But they had pretty fucking good armor. And their main gun was capable of shooting through any of the German tanks that they were encountering.
Yeah, what the Sherman came out during middle of war when we just invented them basically. So they wouldn't field tested. So the first couple of waves were like, people didn't know how to use them properly.
Yep.
But after that, I mean, they're good tanks. We gave them away after World War II to shitload country. Well,
what Peter just said is the reason why, as long as the United States military remains strong, there's functionally a 0% chance that America will ever be invaded. Because when you look at our military and our geographical position and resources, trying to attack the U.S. is suicide.
Yeah, we have one of the hardest defensive position to invade land force in the whole world, because we have two oceans on both sides. We have mountain ranges. We have every possible terrain in the world you can have to account for. And the biggest thing is the Second Amendment, because like, good luck, motherfucker. You come here, there'll be every man in a blade of grass.
Yep. We have the largest navy by tonnage. Do you know what the second largest navy by tonnage is, Cryptic?
I'm assuming it will be China now. So
the American Navy is the largest by tonnage. The second largest gathering of naval vessels by tonnage is the American Museum or Maritime Museum System warships. Yeah, we have more warships in museums by tonnage than China has.
Yeah, they barely have 3. They just got 3 shitty carriers, and we have over 15. So
yeah, we have a ridiculous number, and all of ours are cutting edge.
Yeah. One of China's carriers is actually a cruise ship they converted. The last 2 that they actually released in the last 10 years has been actual carriers, but then they have never seen combat, so nobody knows.
Yeah, and I can't remember if one or both of them is a coal fire carrier rather than nuclear like we have.
Oh, I think both of them are.
Yeah, I think they're trying to develop a nuclear, which that sounds dangerous. Not dangerous like it's going to be a massive threat, like they're going to end up going critical in the middle of the ocean.
Dangerous. Yeah, they as you know, with Chinese products, home or abroad, they take a lot of shortcuts.
The maritime Chernobyl is the issue that I'm seeing here.
No, they take a lot of shortcuts, so a lot, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway,
it is getting a bit late. Do you guys want to do parting words or finish out this topic and then do parting words?
I think it's only just you and I, so parting words probably will be a good idea. Yeah.
Copy that. I heard Kefki make a noise. Kefki, do you want to do your parting words?
Yes. Do not panic. Everything is normal.
Copy that. Adam, by any chance, did you wake up at any point? If so, you can give your parting words. Does not appear to be so. Cryptic, parting words?
We're all gonna die!
No!
That's it.
Do Those are your parting words?
Yeah.
Fantastic. And I'll off with my standard of if you're passionate about something, make sure that you devour it. Don't let it devour you. And with that, have a good night, all. The zoo is closed.
Good night.
And now I
No,
click this.
bye.